Hey everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com, and today I'm going to show you a spawn of a really cool fish. This is Apistos cockatoides, but this isn't the like double red or orange triple head, blah, blah, all that stuff that we usually see. These are actually wild fish. So I'm going to show you a spawn of some wild Apistos cockatoides. I like the domestics too, don't get me wrong, but the wilds are, I don't know, it's kind of cool to get back to basics. So let me show you this cool female with all her little babies. Here you go. All right, so first you're not going to see anything, and that's because the female went off to chase a rival away, and when she goes away, the fry kind of freeze and hang out down in the substrate so they won't get eaten. Now she's back and you'll start to see a little bit of movement. The fry will start coming out, they'll start feeding again more actively, and it's easier to see and kind of fast forward. So let's speed this up a bit. Here we are at 3 times normal speed, and you'll see all little fries zipping around the mama. And what they're doing is, these are benthic feeders, so the fry are going around and they're just grazing on the mulm and on those PVC pipes and the plants and all the other surfaces, looking for these little microorganisms to eat. And that's what they'll do. They'll just munch on little things all day long between feedings. A little later in this video, we'll feed them some baby brine shrimp, and I feed them 2 to 3 times a day, and they'll grow pretty quickly that way. Now we're back at normal speed. You can see the kind of cloud of fry around the mother, and I was thrilled to get this spawn. I didn't think I had any males in this aquarium. These are harem spawners. I thought all I had left was a bunch of females, but it looks like there must be a male in there somewhere. Just I haven't seen him. Maybe he's hiding. It's a big tank. I'll show it to you in a minute. Maybe he's hiding somewhere or whatever, but this was a huge surprise to me. I went on vacation. I've been gone for about 5 days, and today when I was feeding everyone, I looked down and I just saw all these little fry in this tank, and it was a thrill. Every now and then in this hobby we get a fun surprise like that. Now she's gonna guard them fiercely, like super fiercely. She will take on much larger fish. If you're keeping them in a very small tank, then you can have issues where she'll actually kill the male, even though he's much bigger and stronger than her. She just gets in mama bear mood, and she will chase anything away, and if it can't get away because the aquarium's too small, she is likely to kill it. So be aware of that. Even though these are small, peaceful fish, when they spawn and the female is brooding, she will get quite aggressive. So you might need to remove the male in a smaller aquarium. In this tank, they're fine. Anytime a rival comes, she just chases it away, and it has plenty of space to go and to hide. And she's claimed this territory in the corner, and the rest of the tank, the other fish are fine. In fact, let's show you the rest of the tank. So it's a 75-gallon. She's over here in the corner among these PVC pipes, and up above her, we have quite a bit of water sprite going. And there's a bunch of platinum half-beaks up there. She's keeping them well away from her fry. We have, besides some algae, we have a sponge filter here. And we have a box filter here that we'll show you in a second. We'll pan down and show you this. Some more pipes for another female to have her territory. Some random lava rocks that I put in there a long time ago to jumpstart the system. And then in the middle here is a big piece of driftwood with some java moss growing on it, which basically divides the tank in half. So there's this half, there's the other half. Underneath that driftwood, there's a few territories. So there's 4 or 5 little territories scattered around this aquarium. And she has claimed this corner that we're looking at now. So all day long, what she's doing is just hanging out here, and anytime another fish gets too close, she'll cue in and chase it away, and we'll see some of that in a little while. Now, these are wild Apistos cockatoides, like I've told you, and in the wild, these guys live in areas where there's very slow-moving water, slow enough that leaf litter collects. There she goes. She sees a rival. She's like, get out of here. And they hang out in all this leaf litter. So it's kind of a very molmy, leaf littery, kind of decomposing kind of a situation they're in. In fact, if you watch people collecting these fish in the wild, you'll sometimes see them step into the habitat and actually sink down to their knees or to their waist in leaf litter. There's so much. Now, this particular apistogramma is very widespread in the upper Amazon. It comes from lots of different environments with lots of different water types, and depending on if it's the wet or dry season, you can get large fluctuations of water parameters in their habitat. So this makes them pretty hardy, pretty adaptable, and very easy to keep in the aquarium. So they're a great apisto for a beginner and someone that just is tired of failing with difficult species. These cockatoides are fairly easy to keep and to breed. In the wild, they come from whitewater habitats, which is kind of full of like clay and particulates, from clear water, and some sources say black water, some sources say no black water, but it's such a widespread habitat that I would think there might be some black water there. I don't know, I haven't been. Wide temperature range, it can be in the low 70s to the mid 80s. In fact, there was a source that said that they could take it down to the low 60s. I've never tested that, but the point I'm trying to make is that they can take a wide variety of parameters and temperatures, so they're fairly easy to keep and breed. In fact, depending on the time of year, sometimes the pH can be as high, in one article I read, as 8.0. And other times the water's very soft and you can't measure any hardness. But then when things start kind of drying up and things, then maybe it's 300 parts per million hardness. So wide fluctuations, easy to keep. Now, basically what they're going to do in the wild is claim a little territory and hang out in all the leaf litter and stuff. Oh, she sees that other fish up above her. Watch. She's like, get out of here. This is my place. Get away from my babies. She kind of does that all day long. It's fascinating to watch. Anyway, they're in the wild, they kind of just cruise around and slowly graze, which means that you don't want to keep them with super aggressive feeders in the aquarium. Now, once they cue in on the food and they've had a while to adapt and they've learned the territory and they know this is where food comes, and when I see the lid or hear the lid or feel the lid, I guess, being lifted up, it's feeding time and they get right up there, then they can kind of hold their own pretty well. But if you have a tank full of, I don't know, like full of tetras that are all cued in and super rapid feeders, and then add these guys later, they might need some help getting to the food. You might need to take some precautions to make sure they get enough. Whereas if you add these guys and they get all cued into the environment and know what's going on and when it's feeding time, and then add the tetras or barbs or whatever you're trying to do, then they'll fare much better. So keep that in mind with this species. Very slow feeder. Once they learn how things work in their environment, then they're going to be fine, but give them the chance to learn, I guess is what I'm saying. Now, something that I love about apistogrammas is they don't get super large. They have a lot of attitude in a small fish. So this species, the males are going to top out at about 3 inches, and when they get nice and big like that, they're absolutely stunning. They're gorgeous. And they get these huge extensions on the dorsal fin, which is why they're called cockatoides, I think, which is kind of cockatoo, right? They look like the crest of a cockatoo from Australia or whatever. The females stay about 2 inches, so they're not really big. We're going to feed them now. You're going to see a cloud of baby brine shrimp coming in, and it's going to kind of disturb the mulm a little bit, but then it'll all settle down and we can watch the little babies and the mama kind of graze away at the brine shrimp as it kind of settles on the bottom. Always fun to feed these. There's nothing more fun than watching a big cloud of fry being shepherded around by the mama and them feeding together and her like showing them, hey, here's food, and they come over and they eat. It's a really fun sight. It's a really rewarding experience, these little fish. Anyway, they don't get too big, but as I said, they do get a lot of attitude. Mostly the females when they're coming into spawning condition. And the males can be really aggressive to each other too. They're harem spawners, so each male is going to try to claim a territory and spawn with all the females within that territory. So unless you have a large tank, it's going to be difficult to keep more than one male in an aquarium. You would need a rather large tank, maybe a 75 would work, but lots of plants and line of sight breaks and things like that. Otherwise, what you're going to get is one dominant male and a bunch of really scared, kind of shredded up males that are constantly being harassed and really need to be removed to their own aquarium, in my opinion. Otherwise, they're just going to eventually get worn down, get sick, and going to die. Now, the babies, one of the nice things about them is when they're born, they're big enough to eat baby brine shrimp, and that makes raising them just a cinch. Baby brine shrimp's simple to hatch. You can constantly have a nice supply of live food with them, and with baby brine shrimp, and they grow up super quick on that. So that's what I would recommend. Anyone serious about breeding any kind of aquarium fish, baby brine shrimp's really useful. And for the kind of fish that hatch and have fry big enough to eat baby brine shrimp right away, that makes it a cinch to raise them. Now, you can feed these crushed up flake food, you could feed these microworms, you could feed these all kinds of stuff and get a few to survive. So if you're not into hatching baby brine shrimp, you can use other things. But live food really is key to raising large batches and getting good growth. Otherwise, you'll get a few to survive every now and then, but you're probably not going to get lots and lots of them growing up successfully. Although with these guys, the female can help. She can take like flake food and crush it up in her mouth and spit it out for the baby. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of that happening. Now, the adults are not picky at all. Even though these are wild fish, they'll eat flakes, they'll eat pellets, they'll eat rapashi, they'll eat frozen foods, they'll eat live foods. Really easy fish to feed and to keep, which again is one of the things that just makes it such a good fish for the beginner with Apistos. So that's kind of wanted to show you this female with her brood. That's a little bit about their care and spawning. Wonderful little fish. If you get a chance, I would highly recommend this, the Cockatoides, as an intro species. If you've never kept Apistos before, another good one would be Agassizii or Borellii. Those are both fairly simple fish to keep as well. There are some in the Apistogramma family that are difficult even for the most seasoned experts. And so before you try those, maybe get your feet wet with something like this, the Cockatoides. Anyway, let's get to the amazing outro. So there she is, that's one busy mama protecting her brood. I hope you liked this video. If you did, if you would consider subscribing, liking, hitting notification bells, sharing, all that schmazz would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.